Hello, everybody. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News. We have a Matt James, Hannah Brown crossover video. It's not every day we have Matt James in the news, but we love to feature what he has to say from one of the more interesting, albeit tragic seasons. Insofar as the fact that we didn't get to see his full love story, which seems to be doing quite fine right now, and we have Hannah Brown's love story happening too. Follow me on Instagram at DNeals. Every morning and afternoon, Bachelor Rush Hour, the hit podcast. Get your entertainment news, pond scum right here. All right, I'm going to share with you a few clips of this interview. By all means, check out the full thing on Hannah Brown's podcast. She's here with her fiance, Adam. Boy, they look like they're so comfortable. I like their set. They got the Between Two Ferns look going on. So again, I'm going to share several different clips with you. There is a fun moment where Matt James throws some shade at Clare Crawley. Oh, there's Rachel right there looking nice in this, I don't know, very Catwoman-like outfit with the long, what are those? They call those the fall Christian white girl boots, right? Either way, here's what they have to say about their relationship, finding humor in it and all that, and then we'll get into the tea.
You got to check your surroundings. That's why I stand with my back to the wall whenever I'm in a crowded place.
Well, someone's got to be on it.
Yeah. By the way, let's get a fun so we can get Adam his own a mic stand right there. You know, Hannah wants to make him work for that mic stand.
I love it. I did not know that you also thought this. I have to I really want to
now we have to record ourselves.
Yeah. I want to just open one eye and
I'll be like
wink at you. It's so funny, but how y'all obviously met on The Bachelor. Mm-hmm. Y'all been together now for how long?
It'll be, I think, 4 years since we finished filming in November.
Wow.
So, yeah, 4 years since filming.
Time
That's
flies.
crazy. How do you feel like your relationship has changed the most since meeting each other on that show?
It's so weird. I think about
Good question.
the Matt that I was getting to know on the show, and that Matt's still in there, but so different. We really didn't know each other like we know each other now, obviously. Mm-hmm. You barely know the person. You like to think that you know them, but you really don't. Until, only time can tell, or just spending time together. And yeah, he's still there. You're still that gentleman. I feel they paint all the bachelors in this perfect light, but there's so much more to everyone. And he's just the goofiest, quirkiest.
Was he not
funniest.
really goofy on the show?
No, I feel
that's surprising.
I don't know.
By the way, it looks like Matt lost a bunch of weight. Maybe it's that. I think he's been doing long distance running. Hey, good for him. Looking slender, sleek. And how about these wicker chairs they have here? Absolutely loving this set.
You felt like you couldn't be, or if you were, and they cut it out. But I felt like the first time I saw his actual goofy side was when we were finally done filming at that house. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I could just tell it was you just felt more relaxed or comfortable, or you just were happy that it was over. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
A little bit of both.
I was just saying, it's probably a little bit of both.
Yeah, I mean, you can imagine the pressure that's on you when the cameras are there could suppress your inner goofiness. He's got the weight of the world on his shoulders. He wants to make sure he comes off a certain way. You just don't know how you would act until you're fully free with your partner. But you can see from Rachel here, her eyes just beaming with happiness as she describes Matt. It isn't too often. I mean, we cover this show for a couple of years now, but this is one of those instances where you're I really hope they work out.
But no, I feel like everything's changed in a way.
You know what's funny, Hannah? There would be things that Rachel would share with me, in private and on the dates, and I'm did she do research on me? Because these are things that I love. When we would talk about
really?
Disney and she loves Marvel and Star Wars and all the things that I like more than I do. But
and of course, Matt played Frozone, right? Frozone on Dancing with the Stars. I'm going to jump ahead again. Totally worth a listen. Go check out the full thing. But we'll get into Matt commenting on The Bachelor and his lack of trust for them. And now he offers them grace, which I'm calling an apology. I feel like if you feel grace for someone, you're like you're accepting their apology in a way, even if they didn't apologize to you. You ever do that? You ever accept somebody's apology even though they're not sorry? I think it's a good way to live in life. Just go, I know they didn't mean any harm towards me. It's like, why poison myself for hating someone else for what they did to me, right? It's a four agreements. We'll talk about that in the next video, though.
It's reserved and like you said, Hannah, like there is this element of like I have a lot of grace for my experience and for the show, regardless of like what might be, perceived by people, because it's you're put in a tough position.
Totally.
And when you have to produce a show that's compelling and there's elements that are keeping people locked in and on the edge of their seat, like there's things that you have to do. So like I didn't understand that at the time though, so I'm frustrated. Like but as I'm watching it back, I'm like, oh, they're trying to pull this out of me so that I can connect with the audience and with people who are hearing the story. So like the more I understood, the more I was like at peace with how everything went. But in the moment, I'm like, fighting it because I'm like, they don't have my best intentions. And
yeah, at one point he was thinking that when the whole skydiving thing happened, we were both like, Matt was like, did they do that on purpose?
Yeah.
This is what's fascinating. So Matt's in the moment pretty conspiratorial, pretty on edge, wondering, and I guess having no trust whatsoever for the show. Can you blame him? You can't blame him for that. He doesn't know they've got his best interest, because if they have to throw him under the bus for their own safety and promoting a good show, they will. And he knows that. And maybe it's a control thing. Maybe Matt likes to have control. Who doesn't, over situations? And he felt like he didn't have control over whatever edit they might give him, so that therefore he was guarded. I get it.
Like they're trying to get her hurt to get her out, like we were both just so in our heads about everything towards the end. You're just like, by the end, you're like, I just want this to be done.
Yeah.
Like you're over it.
Totally. And I think I remember, like, obviously I was like, I guess I was the last Bachelorette before your season, or I don't know exactly. Yeah.
Tasha.
Oh yeah. No.
Okay, so watch Matt closely here. Hannah says she was the last Bachelorette before his season. We know the following Bachelorette was Clare and then Tasha.
I can't forget Tasha, but there was someone before her that I just forgot. No, I'm just saying.
So I don't know if Hannah Brown understands the jab Matt's giving, but he's taking a jab at Clare. We'll get into that in a second. Rachel already understands this, and you can see her eyes go up like, what is my partner doing right now?
It was very quick.
Claire,
Watch Rachel.
It was
quick.
Yeah,
No, what is really funny, which I don't know if I can even say this.
Rachel, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? All right, we'll go back into Matt in a second. But the beef that he's referencing is this. I know we're jumping back in time several years. This was Claire's initial shot fired. And we have to be honest, Claire started this beef. Claire started it. She took a shot at Matt James for having a cameo, not realizing Matt James' cameo was a charity which was donating to a good cause. Matt James, good friends with Tyler Cameron, already building his following before going on. Here's what Claire said. Claire said, this is what Claire tweeted April 25th, 2020. Can you believe it's been a year? Oh my gosh, where does the time go during a pandemic? She said, if you're doing interviews and creating cameo accounts before you're even on my season, you are in it for the wrong reasons. Now, Claire never went Matt James never went on to Claire's season. Her season ended up getting postponed several months until, I believe, the fall because of the pandemic. Remember that, the pandemic? And Matt James was springboarded into the lead as the Bachelor, in part because audiences were upset at the lack of diversity on the show. And there was already a little bit of knowledge of who Matt James was because he was friends with Tyler Cameron. And people were saying, get him. He'll be good. Like, let's do it. And certainly, apparently that's what happened. So then Matt James responded on the Almost Famous podcast to the beef. But that was the initial beef right there. She was saying, if you're doing cameo accounts, you're there for the wrong reasons. And we love Claire. But, in this instance, it was a bit of a oopsie because, as we find out, Matt James was altruistic in his intentions.
Matt James is also somebody that you weren't exactly... You weren't ever in a relationship with him, that's for sure.
True.
He was supposed
True
to be
story.
on your, he was supposed to be on your season.
Uh-huh.
He was casted to be on your season.
Cast.
But before your season even started filming, they actually just went and announced him to being the Bachelor. I guess they knew him through Tyler. They really wanted him to be the Bachelor. But you guys have had a lot.
Well, the true story is, and let's just call it what it is, the Black Lives Matter movement was putting pressure, rightfully so, on the fact that the show had zero diversity in their male leads. Let's call it what it is. That's what it was.
Of drama, but I feel like you've never met in real life.
I've never met him.
Oh, so how and why is there so much drama? Can you give a little backstory on this Cameo situation? Because it all started when he was on Cameo before filming your
And this is why we love Ashley. She has her information and she's getting the headlines.
season and before he was announced as the Bachelor.
Yeah, I to be honest, I've held back a lot with what information I do have
Don't hold back.
been presented with
Tell
me.
us
And I will
all.
say this, is that
When I think of Claire, I don't think of holding back. We love Claire.
having the opportunity, I don't know if it was a bonus or a good or bad thing, but I had the opportunity those 4 months before going on the season to see who these guys were and see who was coming on the season. And
What about Yosef?
Bachelorettes
totally,
don't have
like
that.
that's never happened before. But I got that opportunity, and what also came with that is DMs every single day of I'm this person's girlfriend, or I know this about that guy. And there was a lot of stuff that you just blow aside and you're just kind of like, I get it, whatever. But there was nobody that I had more messages from than him.
About him?
So she says she has there's nobody she got more messages about than Matt James.
I
If they weren't
actually got
from him.
Yeah, I actually
you
got
got one from him.
videos of him talking about me in a negative way.
Whoa.
And
Nothing directly from him, but from other people.
correct, nothing
videos.
directly from him.
But is that because of your initial Cameo comment? So this is where it gets kind of like, all right, who's in the right here? My complete take, and I like Claire, from what I've gathered, my complete take is she took a shot at Matt James and it didn't land, and he now is resentful at the trash talk that has come out from it. If I could get them in the same room, I'm sure we could settle this very quickly. All right, let's continue. That was an aside. That's the Matt James Clare Crawley beef that just keeps on going.
But
Matt and I were not we're not cool
That's very true.
for a while. Like just when I was Bachelorette, obviously his best friend, then Tyler was on the show, and you were being. Now that I know your personality, I get it was like you being funny, but I was like, this guy is such a jerk. I do not like him.
This is a tale as old as time. Hannah Brown didn't like Matt James, who was the best friend of Tyler Cameron, who she, of course, dated on the show. Matt James had no allegiance to Hannah Brown at the time. He was Tyler Cameron's best friend. His job is to gas up Tyler Cameron, and that is not always something. This is literally like the tale as old as time, where the woman doesn't like the boyfriend or ex-boyfriend's best friend because they're not there to please her. They're there to take care of their guy.
F Matt.
Yep.
And then we ended up living together for a few days, or like almost a month.
Yep.
And obviously became really close.
Quarantine
and then,
crew.
Here we are with our with
My mind is
Rachel
blown
and I.
right
I know
now.
it's crazy, right?
That's wild.
That's
But
crazy.
I remember they called me about you because obviously we were hanging out.
Yeah.
And
Oh, and Jupiter?
yeah, did you not know this?
No. You didn't share this with me at Doondonks?
I think it was like after that, maybe. I can't remember. That whole time of our life when we were in Jupiter, sometimes it's like blurred out.
Yeah,
Maybe trauma. I'm not
They
sure.
were quarantining together. For you kids out there, we had a pandemic and there was a quarantine happening, so you only could stay with the people you were with. And they had this cool viral TikTok gang of Hannah Brown and Matt James and Tyler Cameron and Tyler Cameron's 17 brothers and 55 abs.
Really fun. Like I am
Oh,
so
we had
thankful
so
for
much
that
fun.
for us. But
Yeah.
they were asking about you. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, you'd be the perfect bachelor. But I always worried, and I now maybe from you just hindsight of like being put in that position without even ever experiencing the show.
Yeah.
Because it is, I think as a contestant was like my favorite part, because you're getting all the, even though I know it's hard, like you're getting more of the good parts of it, of having people
more fun, more relaxed.
more fun, but you're also having people.
more fun, more relaxed, unless you're Rachel Kirkconnell. How did that turn out? No, they're fantastic now, but of course she went to hell and back in her season, and good to see that her and Matt James have come out the other end. Go check out that whole episode. I've never watched a podcast with Matt James and or Rachel Kirkconnell that I didn't think was worth the watch. There's something, they're just made for TV, for podcasting. The fact they don't do their own podcast, well, what it goes to show is, and we can crack the books open if they ever want to go on Jason Tartick's podcast, but financially, they probably don't need to do a podcast. They're probably doing just fine with their influencer deals and things like that. But Rachel, listen here. If you're ever looking to do a podcast, I think you guys both would be fantastic together. Or if you want to do one on your own, that would be good too. I'd watch either one of you. I literally watch podcasts of Matt James talking about cryptocurrency, and he made it good. They're just good at what they do, and we're so glad to see them thriving right now. And same with Hannah Brown. Her podcast looks like it's doing really well. I'm free and I live in Nashville. Come have me on, but I'm not begging. All right. Or come do Driving with Dave. Or Adam, come do Driving with Dave. Anybody. I'll drive you to the airport. What do you want? We'll go to 7-Eleven and get some Diet Coke, cherries. We'll put a little bit of Dr. Pepper in it. Don't tell the wife. We're partying, folks. All right. That's going to be it for here. I got more content coming your way. A lot on the docket today. We'll be live on Patreon at patreon.com/Dave Neal. We'll be back right after this.